on December 23, 1964. The opponents, the Cadets of Army. Army's best player had a gimpy ankle, so Coach Tateslock figured that his best strategy was to slow down. No, to halt the action. Henry Hank Finkel, who entered the game averaging more than 31 points a game, scored only 12 in the first half and 13 for the game. At the half, the score read Army 19, Dayton 18. In the first half, the Flyers took only 15 shots, Army 13. Coach Danaher adjusted his offense, inserting the other Henry Burlong, into the lineup. The new zone offense with Burlong at the high post and Finkel underneath finally took its toll. The Flyers eventually took the lead with 8 minutes to play, 24-23. And, led by Burlong's 13 points, the Flyers marched on to a 41-33 win. The tournament trail in the 66-67 season was to be paved in glory for the Flyers. A 21-5 regular season record put the Flyers in the NCAA tournament. What happened in the next days and weeks put the Flyer squad in the hearts of Flyer fans as well as the record books. In a game of contrasts, the Flyers defeated first-round opponents Western Kentucky in overtime, 69-67. The contrast was with Don May's game. 25 points in the first 28 minutes, 1 in the last 17. But the slack was picked up by 2 players off the bench, Rudy Waterman and Glynder Touraine. Waterman scored 16 and had 3 assists, and Touraine chipped in with 10 points and 8 rebounds. The game was won when Bobby Hooper's long jumper connected. The tournament trail now led to Evanston, Illinois, to face SEC champion Tennessee. The Flyers met the Volunteers on St. Patrick's Day, and the luck of the day belonged to Dayton. In the first half, Captain Gene Klaus and fellow guard Bobby Hooper shot over the Tennessee zone. Dayton led at the half by 11. Tennessee shot its way back into the game early in the second half. The Flyers, although pressured, maintained their composure. The game was won by Dayton when Hooper, Dan Sadlier, and Touraine each made a free throw in the last 24 seconds. The final score, Dayton 53, Tennessee 52. One day after the Tennessee win, the Flyers faced Virginia Tech in the regional finals. Dayton entered the game 23-5. Tech came in at 20-6. The first half saw Don May score 13 of Dayton's 28 points, and the Flyers led by 1, 28-27. In the second half, Tech built up a 10-point lead with only 8:12 to go, but as is always the case, the Flyers refused to buckle. Again, Waterman and Touraine came off the bench to spark the comeback. Touraine's free throw tied the game up and sent it into overtime. Tech only scored 2 points in overtime. The Flyers' winning margin came from 2 free throws each by Touraine and Hooper. The final, UD 71, Virginia Tech 66. The Flyers had won their first regional championship. Now the trail led to Louisville, the site of the Final Four. The next hurdle in the quest for the NCAA championship was the University of North Carolina. At this point in the tournament, the Flyers knew they could play and defeat anyone. The Tar Heels were no exception, as they were soon to find out. The game story can be summed up in 2 words: Don May. Dayton's All-American put on a shooting exhibition which stunned Carolina and almost single-handedly led Dayton to their win. He hit 13 straight field goal attempts. His first made the score Carolina 9, Dayton 5. By the time he hit his 13th, the score was UD 40, North Carolina 31. His 34 points, together with 15 rebounds, solidified his All-American position. The Flyers also received another great performance from Glynder Touraine. The center scored 14 and added 11 rebounds. The final score, University of Dayton 76, University of North Carolina 62. The tournament trail blazed all the way to the NCAA Finals. The pinnacle had been reached. And now they faced the best, UCLA. The undefeated Bruins had one of the most dominating players in America, Lou Alcindor, now known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The Flyers countered with their All-American, Don May. The Flyers knew when they warmed up that they had to be red-hot shooting the ball if they were to win. But instead, they were ice cold. The Bruins' superiority became apparent, and they built an insurmountable lead. The game was over early, but the Flyers and their fans relished the moment nonetheless. The final score of 79-64 remains in the record books. But what also remains there is a great tournament record by an undersized underdog team from Middle America. Victories over Western Kentucky, Tennessee, upsets of Virginia Tech and North Carolina. An appearance in the championship game. May, Klaus, Turan, Hooper, Waterman, Sadlier, and Obravik helped take the Flyers to the pinnacle. Flyer fans everywhere did and continue to salute them for their class and courage. A great year was over, but it will never end. Expectations for the 67-68 season were high. Leading scorer and rebounder Don May returned, as did Dan Sadlier, Dan Obravik, and Bobby Hooper. However, the Flyers stumbled out of the gate and won only 7 of their first 16 games. But then the streak began. 10 straight wins later, the Flyers had ended their season at 17-9, good enough to merit another trip to postseason action. This year, the NIT at Madison Square Garden. The first opponent, the Mountaineers of West Virginia. The Flyers, led by great first-half performances by Obravik with 18, and May and Hooper with 12 each, led by 10 at half. 47-37. The Flyers continued to build their lead in the second half, which again saw contributions from Obravik, May, and Hooper. Big Dan ended the game with game highs in points 30 and rebounds 13. The final score, UD 87, West Virginia 68. The second round opponent, Fordham. In another squeaker, the Flyers won their 12th straight, beating Fordham 61-60. As had become their custom, the Flyers fell behind early, but they came back again. This game, Obravik's composure at the foul line made the difference, and the Flyers prepared to meet their next foe, Notre Dame. March 21st, 1968. Flyer fans didn't know what to expect. That night, the 19,500 who attended the semifinal clash at the Garden would certainly get their money's worth and more. Once again, the Flyers fell behind early. They trailed by 9 with less than 2 minutes to go in the first half, but were able to close the halftime gap to 43-39. Don May had a great first half, hitting 9 of 16 field goal attempts on his way to 22 points to go along with 6 rebounds. Dan Obravik led both teams with 8 rebounds. In overtime, Notre Dame scored first, but the Flyers tied it up and went ahead for good on a bank shot by Obravik. Seconds later, on a Notre Dame missed shot, Don May grabbed the 1,290th rebound of his career, becoming the career leader at Dayton, previously held by Bill Ewell. Bobby Hooper's free throws clinched the game, and the Flyer fans celebrated not only their 76-74 overtime victory over Notre Dame, but the fact that the Flyers would be making another trip to the NIT Finals. Now, winners of 13 straight, UD faced their final challenge of the season, the championship game against the University of Kansas Jayhawks. As was the case all year, the Flyers fell behind. In fact, after almost 9 minutes of play, Dayton had only scored 6 and was behind by 8. But Bobby Hooper's aggressive play kept the score from being even more lopsided. A 10-3 Dayton run evened the game at 16, and the teams ended the half tied at 25 all. In the second half, Kansas coach Ted Owens switched from the zone defense to man-to-man. And as Don May stated later, when I saw them go into their man-to-man, I knew we had them.